Hello and welcome to another podcast. Obviously, today we're gonna talk about 6.87, and we're gonna specialize on talking about the items. We're gonna do another one where we talk about heroes and so on. But just so we're not gonna make too long of a video, we just gonna talk about items. So, yet again, I have with me Wired and Haisling. Say hello, guys.
How's it going?
Hello.
So the patch hit, and there's a lot of new items in the game. Before we go through the items, do you guys have any like favorite item of the new items?
Let's see. I think Toma Knowledge is my favorite. So I
Uh,
like to jack it in my pubs
oh,
from everybody else.
yeah, I also do that.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. But on a serious note, I really like the new Dragon Lance myself personally. It's really sick stats.
The Hurricane Pike.
I've had very limited experience with that, but I've heard it's broken. I don't.
Oh, you mean the
Yeah.
Elven skin? Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I mean the it's like the Dragonlance, the new Dragonlance. It's got 15 strength and 15 agility, right? If you just ignore the attack range alone, that's basically a Sanjin Yasha with like a little bit less attack speed and plus damage for literally half the cost. It's like buying an ultimate orb, but for getting the like converting the intelligence into 5 extra strength and 5 extra agility, and it costs even less than an ultimate orb. I think a lot of melee carries are gonna like really appreciate this item if they don't have mana problems, and it's like basically the new drum of last patch, I think.
Hmm.
Yeah, from in my perspective, and I like to play Terrorblade, so I get to even take advantage of the attack range that it gives. But even if you ignore that, like if you're playing Slark or something like that, I think this item would be a sick pickup because it just gives a lot of health and damage.
Yeah, there's a lot of value in the item actually, like
Yeah.
in what you get for 1.9k. So, what's your
Uh-huh.
favorite item, Haisling, of this patch?
Yeah, I haven't had too much experience with most of it, but I think infused raindrops like tackle a really interesting mechanic.
Yeah, that's actually my favorite item of this patch also. Like, or not this patch, but this is literally my favorite item in entire the Dota right now. Like the 0.85 mana regeneration is crazy. Like it's more than Basilius for
Yeah.
225 gold, and you get something more. Like how is this balanced? Like I can't wrap my head around how this item is balanced. I guess it's because you can only buy it from the third minute mark, but
I mean, it does destroy as well. So.
yeah, but it's 200 gold. Like it's one
I
creep
think
wave.
the way I see it being balanced is like you can only buy it from the main shop. You can't get it from a side shop. So like you have to use the courier, and it kind of pisses your team off, and it's kind of It's an inconvenience to buy out in the laning phase if you realize you need one.
Yeah.
But if you can get it, like you're safe from all ganks.
Yeah,
You
the
know, like
offlane, like the offlane is so easy now with the new camp it got, with this item, with the windlays, and like offlane
hmm
is so easy.
yeah.
But okay, let's start talking about the items. The first one, the most expensive item inside the game right now, Bloodthorn. It's an upgrade for Orchid and Crystallis, where it gives when you silence someone, your entire team get True Strike on that target and a 1.35 critical hit. I think it's on every hit, right? It's a critical hit thingy, or how does it
Uh-huh.
work? Yeah.
I can tell.
So, what do you guys think about the item? Basically, the stats are a lot, and
So there's something you got to keep in mind. This item has like a lot of small nuances that I don't think everybody knows about until you play test it. The first and foremost is the active that you put on somebody. Everybody on your team benefits from that, and everybody starts critically striking, and they all get true strike. So it's kind of like you put this on a PA, and your entire team can start smacking her, and they start critting, and she's silenced. Um, yeah, you turn her into like a wet sponge, and like she just gets, and she still gets the orchid like 35% extra damage too. That's not forgotten about. It's insane. You put this on one person, they're dying. Also, I found out that the crit double dips, which means if you attack them and you're gonna crit, and you use the active on this item, you can crit with the active component and the passive crit that it gives, which means you can do a 1.35 crit as well as doing a what is it? I think it's 175% crit at this on the same hit, which is ridiculous. So when I first saw this item and I was first playing with it and I learned about the nuances of it, I thought it was broken. I was like, dude, this is stupid. Like if you ever get this on Clinks, you're just everybody dies. But then I realized like BKB shits on this item, like destroys every well, not every, but most ways in which this item is valuable is stopped by like a BKB or like Lifestealer's pretty good right now. I think I don't know. Just Magic community in general is like really strong against this item, and so I don't know. It has a very obvious hard counter, whereas an item like Crystallis or Daedalus doesn't really, because like you just keep doing damage no matter if they have a BKB or not. So I like it, but I think it's got counterplay, and I don't think it's broken like I once did.
What do you think, Haisling, about the item in general?
So initially, I looked at this item and I thought to myself, why do they keep adding these item upgrades to medium-sized items? Um, but then I figured that like this item fills a gap that I felt I'd sort of taken for granted previously, but now it makes like I think this is like a genius item because from a lot of Storm and Quap experience, the Orchid is sort of an awkward item because you usually want to get it pretty early, and when you do, it's a great item. But once you get to the late game and you get 6 slotted, you're gonna have to sell this 4k gold item to get a 6k gold item, and it's sort of the same principle with Sanjiasha. And it's just a bit of an awkward situation because you can like switch out an Orchid for a sheep and you pay a lot of gold for very little difference in essentially, but you prevent that from with adding like item upgrades like this. So I thought it's great and it's gonna benefit a lot from those heroes that get the Orchid early and transition well into late game.
Yeah, I'm actually at the same spot as you here. Like, I always felt like Orchid was kind of an awkward item because it's good in early, as you said. But now you can also have it in the later stages of the game. So the heroes that obviously benefited from this item was the first that came to my mind was Storm Spirit. I think it's really good with this item later on, and he's one that benefit from the mana regen also. Like I think the mana regen is kind of awkward, but because the other stats are really strong, but the mana regen is kind of weird. But Storm Spirit is obviously one that's benefiting from that. One thing to take in note also, so the Orchid cooldown is actually lower with this item. It's
Yeah.
6 seconds or is it 7 seconds lower, something like that. But
Yeah,
yeah,
you're right.
it's a pretty strong late game item, but also take in mind it's the most expensive item in the game right now, so it's not something you rush after your Orchid. Like it would be kind of weird.
Yeah, and while it does like pummel a hero like just position once in general, because it applies the crit thing from everyone. I mean, it's gonna usually be dispelled by something.
Yeah,
And if you purchase a 7k item, you're gonna expect the enemy position 1 or 2 to get like an expensive item themselves, either be a Manta or a BKB. So it's probably primarily gonna be used for the stats and to silence up supports anyway. I don't think we'll see a lot of benefits from the True Strike.
yeah. So let's move over to Echo Saber. This is the like I was hyped when I read the passive, but then I started to think around the item and how actually awful the build-up is on this item and how it's actually not that useful. I think this is the worst item of this patch, actually. One of the worst items that came in the patch, basically. So what's your general opinion on this item, Haisling?
I don't think the build-up is that bad, but I don't. I just have a hard time figuring out which melee cores want to benefit from or melee heroes in general want to benefit from having double strikes. Um, I'm not sure where I see this item used at. Well, I'm gonna have to wait.
What do you think,
See what-
Wired?
Yeah.
So I played against a lot of Slark recently, and they've been picking this up. But then again, I think Slark is really strong in this patch in general because the new
Yeah.
Shadow Blades, or the new what's it called, the new Silver Edge.
Yeah.
So it's possible that they're just like abusing the fact that Slark's strong this patch and just building whatever you want. But like, I'll definitely say that there are some heroes, obviously like melee heroes, in particular that can take advantage of this, such as Slark. I mean, I know that double stat steal doesn't sound too great, but it just kind of helps him get out of Shadow Blade, smack you with the out of Shadow Blade active, and like really kind of burst you down. Like he hits you once out of Shadow Blade with this active, pops his W, pops his Q, and you're dead. You're bursted. He's killed you. And you can't really do it too much unless like you have like a blink or something like that to get away from him. And you gotta act quick. So it does definitely help kind of a bursty playstyle for melee heroes. But like Haseling said, like outside of Slark, I can't even really think too much. Like I think it'd be funny if like Earthshaker picked this up or something like that after a blink or something, and like one-shotted kids with Enchant Totem maybe. I don't know though. Like
the Enchant Totem is only going to be on the first attack though.
It's only going to be on the first? Okay.
Yeah, it's one,
so
one
it has
strike.
to be like a hero with passive like a Void Bash or like just some percentage-based crit stun, anything like that.
Which
I don't know.
In that vein, I will say, I mean, it also gives attack speed. Like, it could be seen as like a niche way of like minimalizing your RNG with your bashes. So, say Slardar, for instance, maybe he'll get this in the late game or probably the mid game. I don't know. This isn't really a late game item. Maybe he'll get it like after a Blink Dagger because it does give him intelligence. That's nice. Attack speed, like we said, that's kind of nice. Mana regen, whatever. Strength, damage, and then it helps him bash twice. So. And even if you don't bash him twice, you still hold him still for a half a second so you can get another auto in. So it lowers the amount of RNG in your bashes, I guess. But yeah, this is kind of an awkward item from what I've seen so far.
Would you agree that this might replace the Aquila on Slark, or do you still have to go Aquila on Slark? I mean, this give mana regeneration, intelligence, so it kinda deals with your mana, some of your mana problems. Would you say that this is a good replacement for Aquila?
Yeah, I could see it being a good one. Like I said, they've been like the ones that I've seen him usually get it like after Silver Edge though, because like I don't think you can like delay the stat boost on Silver Edge. Like, or if you're gonna go that route, I've seen him go like Midas into this though, and I don't really think that's good. I just like the way that Slark is played. I think you need something to get in first, or if you're not going to go that route, then you need something to like tank up first, and this doesn't really do either, I don't think. Like, I guess it's 10 strength, but is that enough,
Yeah,
I don't know.
Strength got buffed this patch, so it's a little bit more than last time. But the first hero that came to mind when I read the passive was Baratrum. Even if you don't get the bash, like it's still 100% moments. It's basically a root. Like even if you don't get it, so you have a higher chance of getting the bash off, but it's still like Echo Saber is such an awkward item because 2.6k on a roaming Baratrum is a lot of gold. Like you basically buy this instead of a Blade Mail or like some other stats boosting item, so it's an awkward item. I really think this should have cost less and give less stats and give the same passive or some shit. And Oblivion Staff is an awful item, so I don't like. They are trying to force us to buy this item. I don't like Oblivion Staff at all, and a Ogre Club. Like it's such a weird combination. But yeah, let's move on to Blightstone. This is an item that I felt personally was needed inside the game. Some early game armor reduction. I think it's a really cool item. It provides some more early aggression. I guess it's gonna make it more early aggression. Not that much, but it's some bit at least. What's your general whatever about the item, Wired?
Yeah, I actually it's completely the same opinion. So like I'd always wondered when the ability to reduce armor would become more readily available on heroes that maybe can't do it naturally. So like as maybe you remember, I play a lot of Broodmother, and so that's who instantly came to mind with this item, and I think this item's like great on her. The unfortunate aspect is this is a unique attack modifier. So if you want to make advantage of this, or take advantage of this and try to stay in range with people, you'd have to like take early points in your E. You couldn't get an Orb of Venom, which is what I used to like. This would have to replace the Orb of Venom in that respect. And I don't know, like maybe you don't have to get that Orb of Venom, or maybe you don't have to even take early points in your E, but like just staying in range of the target is going to be something that against like a competent Trilane is going to be kind of difficult to do. But this item really does increase the DPS of those kinds of aspects. What what I also thought of was like Earth Spirit. Like I was thinking like maybe I could get this, and try to like take advantage of some heroes that might want to just auto click or right click a lot of times when I'm trying to gank. But then I thought about how like the power spikes for armor are like at the early amounts. So if somebody has 7 armor, you're increasing your physical damage against them by like 5 or 7% if you reduce 2 armor. But if they have 2 armor, then you're increasing it by like 10% if you reduce 2 to 0. That's how Dota works. It's like super value to decrease armor at like lower ranks of armor. But then I thought like early game, 10% extra physical damage against a hero when I'm getting 3 or 4 right clicks instead of 4 or 5 right clicks against them isn't worth it. And same thing for the person that I'm ganking for. If my invoker can't get as many right clicks off just because the target's not slowed while I'm like right clicking him because I don't have an orb of venom, and like yeah, sure we're doing an extra 40 or so damage against them with all the armor reduction or whatever. But I was just like, is it really worth it? And I thought, yeah, like this item's mostly going to be used, I think, for the people that, like you can, for instance, you can get a Medallion of Courage entirely from the side shop now with this item. That's super cool because you can get this in the side shop. So this item's good, and I think it's really good in pushing. And I know this is going to sound really weird, but like level 1 Roshan guys, you know, there's a buff to it, man.
Yes.
But this is not, I don't think this is an early game roaming item. I think that's still Orb of Venom. And I think this item isn't as broken or crazy as some people might have thought when it first came out. Like, it definitely doesn't like make Desolator OP or anything like that, or Medallion doesn't become OP, I don't think. I just think this is a solid item, and there's select situations in which you're going to want it. Especially like early carries or cores that want to push the lane early against offlaners that like to roam. This helps you do it a lot and take that tower that much quicker, I think. So I do like this item, I just don't think it's broken.
What do you think, Hazeling? Do you have any comment on Blightstone?
No, it's a lot of the same. I think the most significant part is that you can get a full medallion from the side shop now. And yeah, supports that wanna, like, it's gonna make zoning and lane easier for some supports that wanna get the medallion anyway.
Yeah.
Or you can even get it on like Avenge comes to my mind as a really optimal buyer for this item.
The first hero I thought about when I saw Blightstone was Klinx. Klinx is a hero that also wants to get Medallion of Courage, so if you have a Blightstone early, your Searing Arrow is gonna do increased damage because they removed that from being an attack modifier, so it's a decent like early game value item for Klinx, I would say. You usually get like a Soul Ring and Medallion on Klinx, so why not get a Blightstone early? It's gonna be needed anyway. But, whoa, let's move on to my favorite item, Infused Raindrops. This item is just crazy. In my mind, you guys don't agree that it's that crazy, but I think this item is gonna get nerfed in some way, either the damage block or the mana regeneration. For an offlaner, this is just insane. As we talked about, yes, you have to buy it from the main shop. It's kinda awkward, but it's worth it. Like offlane is so easy with this item. I really can't understand how this item is balanced in my mind. So I just think this is an OP item.
You should help me understand it. Help me understand it. So like, what exactly do you do? Who have you been playing in offlane, and like, how are you really abusing this item to win your games easy peasy?
When I play the heroes that I've been trying this on is when I play Tiny offlane, for example. I start with sentries. If I know that it's a high average game, I know they're gonna block my camp if they see it's Tiny offlane, so I have to start with sentries and deward it, and then I just toss the creep to my creep wave and pull there, and later on at 3 minutes I'm gonna have this item and a windlace, so I'm gonna move quicker, they can't touch me. I can harass with if I had a Crystal Maiden in my game, that game also, which means I could harass with toss. It's just Dude, crazy.
That's next level. I've never thought about Tiny. Holy shit! You opened my eyes, Dance.
Yeah, you have to.
That's insane. You fucking toss the creep into the creep weapon. All right, wait. How does that work on Radiant? Can you reach it?
On Radiant, yes, you can wear on both. You can reach on both sides.
Damn, dude. Like, I know we're talking about the podcast, but that's crazy. You opened my eyes. Yeah, and you get this on Tiny, you can do that like every minute or so, because, man, I'm such a noob. Like, I can't believe I never thought about that. That's crazy.
0.85 mana regeneration on a strength hero is crazy. Like any strength hero will benefit so much. Like even a diver, like if let's say you roam with a Tusk, like, and you have to dive a Zeus, you're gonna block so much medical damage. Like he can't kill you anymore. Like usually when you dive the tower against a Zeus, you got the Arch Lightning off and you were dead after you killed the Zeus because 2 tower hits and yeah. So that can't happen anymore because it's 120 medical damage block after you blocked 50 damage or some shit. It's so crazy. Like I don't understand this item, how it's balanced. So if you guys want to tell me why I'm wrong, I would be more than open to it.
You gotta get like at the 3-minute mark. That's the big thing. Like you can't start with this item. You can't start the game with it. That's like the biggest thing that sucks. It does cost so little. And it gives so much. So it's really just the 3-minute mark and the fact that you buy it from the side shop are the only things that I think hold it back from being truly OP. But I don't know. I haven't playtested around. I've only got it in one of my games so far, so I haven't playtested around with it enough to prove one way or the other whether or not it's OP as fuck. So I can't give my honest critique, but I'm definitely gonna give it a shot more, especially on Tiny Offline. I'm gonna try that Tiny Offline. I want to know after this, like, what you do for that. You should make a guide, dude. I don't get a lot of YouTube views, I guarantee it. Oh,
yeah,
man.
sure. I can post off like your replay analysis on that time.
Yeah, do it. Don't do it in Swedish either, please.
No.
I can't speak Swedish like I can speak English, so I'm really interested.
What do you think, Hazeling, about raindrops? I'm really interested what you think about this.
Yeah, I think you're overrating the mana regen first off a bit too much. I think most heroes and players in general have found ways to work around mana regen, and like 0.85 won't really solve all too much on most heroes, either offlane or support. Yeah, I don't know. I think it is important to note that this is an item you purchase and then it, like, if you make it bursted down by a Zeus and die anyway, and then you lose the item, and then you have to. Yeah, it's I don't know. I think you can only really buy it once on a support, depending if it's like an equal game in terms of net worth on teams, and you're not like far ahead. Because if you keep buying these over and over, when they proc and destroy, you just won't have new items. I think it is important to note that you set back your net worth every time you buy one of these.
But you can't lose them all at once. They have a cooldown of 4 seconds. So
right.
Yeah.
5 charges. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
And like why I think it's so huge the mana regen is because you basically buy Basilius because you have mana problems in some cases, and it's good armor, and that gives 0.65 for 500 gold, or I think it's 500 something.
Yeah.
525.
And this is 225 gold for more than that. Like you don't get the armor, but it's more mana regen. I just
The armor got nerfed anyways. It's important to know I play a lot of offlane Doom in my pubs when I'm really trying super hard, and I'll definitely consider this a lot more, especially against comps where they can just burst me down, like against Slark and stuff. I think this would be great against Slark.
Yeah, Scorched Earth with this is crazy also. I didn't think of that actually.
Yeah, I agree. I'm glad we had this conversation so far, guys. I've already got a gain to benefit because this is crazy. I'm gonna abuse this shit. Thanks, Dan Sky.
So let's move on to the shoelace, the windlace. This is basically an item where you can buy the highest value stats in Dota, in my opinion, movement speed. This is you can have this with boots, which make it so much better. It's also 225 gold for some reason. I don't know why everything costs 225 gold, but this is the way it is. This is also an offlane item and a support item, I would say. It's used in both drums and Yules now, so if you want drum, you get this early. I guess the downside of that is your enemy team is gonna see that you go in drums earlier. I don't really like that it's only 225 gold, but it's probably some calculation in the value there. So, Hazeling, what do you think?
Boots, I guess.
Yeah, so thinking like, yeah, it does give 40 movement speed, boots do, and this is like half that. The fact that it stacks with boots though is like high value because I think boots is balanced at 400 because you can only have one of it, and because it's freaking boots, everybody's got to get it. But like this on top of boots is a lot more movement speed. You're pretty much outrunning any hero with this and boots, even if the enemy hero only has boots. Unless you're like CM and they're Enchantress. But
Yeah.
this is a pretty cool item. I gotta be honest though, like it's hard to gauge the impact. So like as a support, when you roam, maybe this is useful on a range support that just needs to get in range as soon as possible. So they get a smoke and they get this and they get in range to get their stun. But like I play a lot of Earth Spirit roam and this doesn't help him at all. I've tried it one game, it just doesn't help him at all. Like it kind of offsets the nerf that he got of the 10 movement speed thing, but like it really doesn't help because you're just gonna be rolling in, and when you keep in range, it's because of your Orb of Venom. It's not because of this. So just the heroes that I play, I don't think take advantage of this. But I will definitely say that the way that I'd see it being used on like a Venge or a Shadow Shaman or a Lion that needs to get in range after smoke pops as soon as they gotta get right up in there. This could really help in tandem with boots, before boots, etc. so forth. Even if they're not gonna get drums or yules because it's so cheap. So
Yeah. So Hazeling, what do you think about the item, man?
I think it's another minor buff to supports again. Sure, on a hero like Tusk and Earth Spirit that have a gap closer like the Snowball or the rolling boulder, this won't benefit you as much. And when you get Orb of Venom and this Windlace, it's an overkill for sure.
Yeah.
So that's probably why you won't see it having too much impact. But overall, this is like a really great position. This 4 and 5 item, or you can get it earlier if you want to get drums on a position 1. I just think it's a minor buff to supports.
The really cool thing about it, I'm going back to Tiny again here, but Tiny with his ulti grow gets movement speed, and with boots he gets movement speed, and with Windlace he gets movement speed. So Tiny is so quick as fuck, like with this item also. Like, I'm sorry if I cut you off there, but that's also one thing I tried with the raindrops Tiny thingy. I get Windlace also, and you're so quick, like it's crazy. I feel like Tiny got so buffed by all these small items.
So shit hero.
So let's move over to the knowledge. The grants you 425 experience for 150 gold. But the real downside of this, not downside, but the real issue with this item is that it's one stock each 10 minutes, so it's not often you can get this item. I think what they want to do with this is basically help the supports out that are struggling to find experience somehow, and get them back in the game and do more. That's my general thought about the item. I was more hyped when I saw the name Tome of Knowledge. I thought it would be the old Dota 1 item where it cost like 500 gold, and if you used it, you unlearned all your spells and could skill them differently. So like at 7 minutes, or no, when you're level 7, you could use a level 4 spell and then in the team fight unlearn all your abilities and level another spell to level 4 and use that. Like
that's interesting.
Yeah, I was really hyped, but then I saw that it was this shit, so I was like, okay. So what do you guys think about Tome of Knowledge?
Yeah, I think you one up the crap out of it. Your idea sounds more interesting of what Dota 1 used to be, but if we don't assume that was ever in the game, it would just act as if it was what it is. Like, I think the implications this item has, I play a lot of position 4, and like, yeah, I think this is mostly just to get the people. It's mostly like everybody kind of hits a stopping point at level 11 where they hit level 11 and then you have to farm 200 or 2200 EXP until you hit level 12. And most heroes get like a power spike, especially supports when putting points into all of your abilities. If you're not level 11 by like the 14 or 15 minute mark, this item kind of helps you get back into that sort of situation, and like especially supports that have like really strong ultis, like they just helps you with those level 2 ultis really quick. And also max 2 basically. So I know Earth Spirit
Oh wait. Yeah, so sound issues here.
Is that me?
Yeah, your microphone is sounding a lot again. Yeah, sorry. Go on, Wired.
I was just gonna say, I know that Air Spirit stands to benefit a lot from this item if he doesn't get a lot of successful roams in the early game, because, and not just Air Spirit, right? Obviously, there's more heroes than that in the game. I know that there's a bunch of heroes in the game that will dedicate a lot of their early game time instead of like stacking and pulling and stuff like that, or stacking camps and then like waiting for their carry to take them so that they can stand right next to him and leech the XP while the carry gets the gold. There's supports that just roam, and if you roam, it's not always going to work out, and so this is like an item that if it doesn't work out, you can get it. Also, and this is something I don't think a lot of people are thinking about, there's some like strategic play with this. Some cores benefit a lot from getting to level 16 or and beyond and getting their stat points. I've like debated like giving this to cores sometimes and giving them that EXP boost, because 425 is a lot of experience. Yep. You can buy it for them, so they don't even have to spend the gold. There's some interesting implications that this item has, and I'm really interested to see how the pros take advantage of this item.
Yeah, I feel the same there. I actually didn't know you could buy it for people. That gives it some other value, I guess, or how you wanna call it. Hazling,
Yeah.
you're okay, man?
Yeah, it's fine again.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, now it sounds sweet actually.
Okay, great. Yeah. What I thought about this item was, I mean, initially you want to think that it's sort of combat mechanics for supports again, but I think it adds a what is called like an option for teams or well-organized teams to hit a much needed timing. I think it's not all too rare that you sit around and you wait for a person to get like the last 300 XP, and that can be any roll from 1 to 5. So they either hit like 5 or 11 or 16, or even like they skill up one of the regular spells to max, like from level 13 to 14. So I think you're just able to hit timings much more efficiently, experience-based timings. Yeah, instead of waiting for a witch doctor to somehow farm like 300 XP by casking a centaur camp 3 times.
Yeah.
You can just give him the tomb, and then you can go and push a tower immediately. Yeah. I think you can just use this item to hit timings much more efficiently.
One cool thing to note about the Tome of Knowledge is that this is a buff to Rubik. If your team has not spent their Tome of Knowledge and you're playing Rubik and you steal a level 1 ultimate and then they use the Tome of Knowledge in teamfight to get the level 2 ultimate, and you can steal it again and use their ulti again. So it's unlikely it will ever happen in any game, but it's still possible. I just thought about it, so...
You're really wishing on that wishing star, dude. Like, I don't know if that'll ever...
There's a lot of Dota games being played, so in just one little Pinoy game it might happen.
That's a good point, yeah. Yeah.
It's gonna be a highlight somewhere.
Yeah, hopefully. I really want to see that, yeah.
Okay, the new super item, Hurricane Pike. This is an item you make with the Force Staff and Dragonlance and a recipe. It costs 4,375 gold. It gives a lot of different stats. It gives also some HP regen. I did not realize that until now. But the active is basically you push your enemy away from you and you push back basically, and you can hit them from any kind of range as long as you see them. This is a pretty cool item, and it can be abused by some heroes. For example, if you have a Shen in your team and he sends you back and you force Hurricane Pike someone before you get home to the base, you can hit them from the base. So that's one way to abuse it, but I don't really see how it's useful for anyone else than Enchantress. But yeah, it's pretty cool item. Makes you build Force Staff on cores, maybe? I don't know. What do you guys think about Hurricane Pike?
So, initially, I would just want to get out the way that I don't think you can use this as an offensive item. I think a lot of people contemplated initially either getting it on Enchantress or an OD. then running up on in the face of someone and just securing the 5 hits. No, 4 hits over 5 seconds. But I think this has to be used as a defensive item if your ranged core and a melee core gets on top of you. Problem with that is just that melee core being on top of you will usually have a BKB, so you can't really force that person either. And the range is 450, so it has to be someone in a real close vicinity of you. Last point. Oh yeah, by the way, Enchantress and I think Drow, this is going to be a really strong item on Drow.
Yeah,
because
I tried it on Drow also. I liked it on her.
Yeah. But overall, the fact that melee cores get BKB just fucks over the significance of this item. But the stats are good, so you may as well get it on ranged cores that need like an escapability somehow.
Yeah. Instead of the blink. Yeah, sorry, go on.
I'm sorry. I'm gonna blow both your freaking minds right now and say that you're both completely and totally wrong about this item.
Oh, okay.
You gotta see the actual usage of this item, alright? Check it out. So a normal 4-staff pushes you 600 distance. This item pushes you, I believe, 900 distance.
800.
Which is like, no, it's 900.
What? It says 800. 800 on allies or self.
Yeah, that's the cast range.
Oh yeah, I'm retarded.
Yeah. So this item pushes you 900 distance. That is almost as much as a failed blink dagger. So you can see this in some ways as somewhat of a pseudo blink dagger with combat stats. The pushback ability active on enemies is completely negligible when you are trying to use this as a substitution for blink dagger, and it can completely be used as such. The stats on it are insane because it is Dragonlance, as we talked about earlier. Dragonlance is a Sanjinyasha, basically, and you throw a 2,250, well, 2,225, and then an extra 250 gold on top of that to get a pseudo blink dagger that instead now gives you intelligence and HP regen, because this is turning 4-staff into blink dagger of sorts. And this item is crazy. This item is crazy on Slark. I know it sounds weird as fuck, but it's crazy on Slark. BSJ, NA Dota, I guess. I don't know how EU's Dota's going, but I'm not even joking. Try this on like Slarker, or any hero that wants to get in to melee range and start punching people. Try this on Ursa, dude. I'm not joking. This item is actually crazy, and I would not be surprised to see it get nerfed.
What about Bloodseeker? Isn't that a Bloodseeker buff then?
Yeah, try this shit on Bloodseeker. I wouldn't use it on the enemy hero though. That's always been a gimmicky way to do it. Doesn't Bloodseeker kind of have problems staying in range of like high HP targets? You get in there, you start smacking them. Once they start running away, you 4-staff right up to them. This is not 900 distance. This is we're blinking now, boys. We got blink now.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And it doesn't get interrupted by damage. That's a huge part also. I guess that's it has a bit higher cooldown. No, it doesn't have a higher
No, it doesn't. Remember what you said about Bloodborne? Same thing with this thing. This thing has a 14-second cooldown. So it is literally blink dagger, except you don't get interrupted by damage. This item is crazy. And you got to see the full You can't think of it from that whole, I'm going to use this on enemies, because it's really low cast range. Use it on yourself. Be a selfish prick. This item is crazy. Or use it on allies. I don't know. Just don't use it on enemies, because it's not actually like that good. The active on enemies is so misleading. Use this as more of like a initiation tool, and it's actually crazy.
That's actually a really interesting standpoint. Like, it's like a different kind of blink dagger, and if blink dagger would give stats also, because I love blink dagger, but that's my biggest problem. It doesn't provide any like sustain of some sort, like actual sustain.
It's the ultimate no value item unless you consider the active, in which case it's the most value item because the active is insane. Yeah. So this item is the best of both worlds. I have no doubt this item will get nerfed, but I don't know. We'll see. I guess I've been wrong about this shit before, so. But this item is absurd. When I can see Slarks pick it up and like win 7K games, I'm just like, this item can't be like, it was not intended for Slark. There's no way. But. I can't remember, PPD once said something like, when Dota changes, you change with it or you get left behind. So if Dota wants us to buy ranged items on melee heroes, then fuck it, man. Yeah, play the game for what it's become, not what it once was. That's what he once said, so.
Deep as fuck.
Philosophy.
So let's go through the less exciting things, but still pretty interesting item changes. So the first item change in this patch was the Skull Basher. It got reduced damage and reduced recipe cost. I guess this really doesn't like. I think it's like a meh. Like it's not that much big. It's not a big deal. I'm more excited by the next one. But do you guys think Skullbasher is like? What do you think about this?
I see this as a nerf. I see this as a nerf myself. This is 250 gold, less expensive, but losing 35 damage on the bash active. And I don't know. You never used to buy Skull Basher for the damage much as like you'd buy it for the stun, but losing 35 damage when you bash is quite significant. I think for only 250 gold. If they reduce the recipe by 500, I might maybe be like, oh, that's okay. But you axed it by 1/4 of its cost, but took away almost 1/4 of its damage. Or no, wait, math. 1/3. You took away almost 1/3 of its damage. Like it hurts. I think this is a nerf to the item.
Yeah, sure. I don't think it matters anything though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's move on to Abyssal Blade. Icefrog's favorite item is obviously Vanguard, and now he actually forces us to buy the item if we want to do something inside the game. This also, and we haven't gone through this, but strength has been buffed, and in my opinion, I think that what he wants to do in this patch is want us to tank up and play more tankier heroes. He wants us to have high health and whatever, and this is one of the items that prove that. Abyssal Blade is now combined with Basher, Vanguard, and a 1550 recipe. And instead of 70 damage and 10 strength, it now gives you 10 strength, 10 damage, 250 health, and 15 HP regen and damage block. I think this is a better item now. It's more versatile. You can get it on more heroes. More heroes can benefit from it. And what the mana cost on Overwhelm is reduced also, and the cooldown. I think this is a buff actually. Like Abyssal Blade is a pretty fucking strong item because you can the stun pierce through BKB and whatsoever. I like this change. I really like the new Abyssal Blade. What do you guys think about it?
I do agree with you there. Where I think Skullbasher got nerfed, I think this more than makes up for it. Initially, when I looked at this, I thought, like, damn, they're taking all the damage out of Abyssal Blade. What the fuck are they doing? But then I realized that with how much tankability they're giving the item, it more than makes up for it. And, like, this overall is probably a buff to the item. What's Vanguard's HP regen? Is that, like, 12 or 13 or something?
Oh, they changed that. I'm just gonna check it real quick.
Yeah. I think it's something less.
8. It's 8.
Okay, this doubles it then almost. And, like, yeah, the 250 health is nice. Still gives the same amount of strength. But you're getting 250x. I mean, it's Vanguard's health, but all the same, like you said, Vanguard builds into it. The damage block is 100, but that was what it was on Vanguard anyways. It's basically, I think the mana cost is really like underrated. This is obviously helps heroes like Ursa and stuff like that. I always felt like the item shouldn't even have a mana cost, but maybe that'd be too OP.
Oh, that would be broken.
Yeah, I just know that like axing it by half really helps out a lot of heroes, and we'll see how that it implies itself, I guess. Reducing the cooldown, I don't think you can still use this in twice in a fight, but if the fight's prolonged and you use it to initiate, and then you're trying to clean up stragglers, it's not hard to imagine that you could use this again on a straggler. This is a good change. I do like it.
Hey Sling, you have any comment on Abyssal Blade?
Yeah, I disagree with both of you though. I think this is a nerf. Oh well, not a nerf. It's a change obviously, but I think this. I just don't think you want this on Abyssal Blade at all. Like the HP regen is at the point where you get this item because you have to. I don't think you have to get this item like 3rd or 4th, more or less. I think you can probably get a Basher and some heroes, but anyway, you usually don't want the HP regen at all at the point where you get this item because you have other ways of either sustaining or it's not gonna matter in team fights at all. So the HP regen is sort of lost.
The damage what?
Rip.
User in your channel timed out.
Oh, he dissed. I'm just gonna try and get him back in.
Absolutely.
Da, 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 da.
I think it's enough HP regen though that it matters in fights. I will say that 15, like, it's kind of like saying heart regen doesn't matter. Like, not the same obviously, but I think heart gives enough regen that it's like super significant if you have a few seconds where you're out of combat. I think the same or similar can be said about Abyssal. But I see where he's getting at, and I initially looked at this item and thought it was nerfed too. So I see where he's getting at.
Uh, yeah, but I don't agree with there is a fourth item buy. I think you can get this like almost instantly because you can buy like you buy your boots, you buy your Vanguard, and then you can buy a Basher, and then you just pay 1,550 and you have your Abyssal Blade, and you have
Well,
two more item slots.
I'd just be worried that you'd like lose too much damage in that case, though. You know.
Yeah, but
So
what I think he wants to do is just let us have more sustain. Like he just wants us to live longer, don't not deal damage. Like just live longer than the enemy. So in that case, like yes, we don't do as much damage, but we can take more damage.
I get it.
He's getting
Yeah,
some
no.
TeamSpeak errors here. Hmm. Okay, he's trying to figure it out. He's gonna come back soon. I guess we can move on to the Ether Lens. I think that was kind of needed. Ether Lens was kind of good. It still has the cast range thingy. It's still a good item, I would say. What do you think?
Yeah. I don't think this changes the item at all. I think this is more in line with just the intelligence buffs. Is they wanted to make sure that people can't get an Aether Lens and like two-shot creep waves with all their wave clear.
Oh yeah.
Like yeah. Like I don't know if you remember that, but intelligence got buffed as well as strength. Like I think intelligence got buffed as a main stat way more than strength did, by the way.
It
Strength
was
got
needed.
buffed. Yeah, I'm just saying like you now get spell damage for every 16 points in intelligence. So I guess we're League of Legends now, but basically, you know what I mean? Like this change made it so that you can't get an Aether Lens and like start one-shotting creep waves all the time if you have even a little bit of intelligence, or like if you're Invoker and you have like high intelligence scaling. Which, by the way, this buff, the intelligence buff, obviously helps Invoker a lot because he's got 4.0 intelligence scaling and all of his spells do magic. So
But let's talk about that a bit. Intelligence got that when you have 16 points of intelligence, you get 1% increased spell damage, which I think was so needed because I made a video about this. How I talked about the three different attributes of the game: strength, agility, intelligence, and
I watched that. Yeah.
yeah, and I talked about how strength is so much superior to the others and how bad intelligence actually is. It provided really nothing for survivability and whatsoever. But now when it gives even more damage to intelligence, it's as good as agility, I would say. I think strength is still the superior one, but it's good now at least. Before it was awful.
So you used that video as a platform to promote Huskar and how you were still picking Huskar in the patch. And I remember watching that and thinking, what the fuck? Like I personally, I really have a hard time buying the idea that change that they made in 6.7 is the change that they made in this patch, I guess, is going to make that significant of a bearing outside of just like, you know, you're going to be able to, I think it's literally just clearing creep waves. You're going to have a easier time clearing creep waves if you don't get a Veil, but you get like a Scythe or something like that in the later stages of the game. I don't know, man. Like it's 16 intelligence, right? A Mystic Staff gives 25, and like I don't know. So you get a 2 ultimate orbs or something like that, and you get 1%. You know, it's I can't see this coming into play too often outside of like your normal hero scaling. So Invoker, for instance, every 4 levels, he's got the highest intelligence growth in the game next to Pugna. Every 4 levels they'll get 1% of intelligence, or 1% extra spell damage, and that's on those heroes. Like I don't know,
User
anybody
joined
with
your channel.
a lot of heroes won't feel this.
Is it working now?
Alright, I don't know what happened.
Yeah, we're at Etherlands now. Do you have any brief comments on Etherlands?
Right, let's see. No, not really.
Okay, so let's move down to Courier. 20 seconds. That's good for me. I can hunt more Couriers now in the early game. And Armlet got a buff. This is so good for my Huskar. I love this. I don't think it wasn't needed. Armlet is a super strong item. This just made the item even stronger. What do you guys feel about the Armlet as a item? Let's talk about Armlet a bit. Do you guys agree that it's one of the strongest items in the game for the cost value and whatsoever, or how do you guys see on Armlet?
For strength heroes, there's technically no better DPS increase than Armlet if you're trying to right click or something like that. And this doesn't help that, but it does help your survivability. I don't think, like, it's gonna sound elitist, but I don't think Armlet's a good noob item. I think you have to take advantage of toggling it at the right times to really know how to use it. Especially on every hero, it's different. On Huskar, you don't want to toggle before you life break. I think noobs need to know that because they're going to end up using a lot more health than they want to. And also, toggling at low HP is really important on Huskar. But at the same time, when you master armlet toggling, it seems like the best item in the game. And this buff only accentuates that because it helps you toggle, I think. It's a crazy buff. I don't know why it got this buff at all, but maybe to keep in line with some of the other items that got added into the game, maybe this was needed. It definitely helps against Blade Mail. I'll say that for Huskar with the new Blade Mail changes especially. So yeah, but I still don't know. This is a crazy buff.
What do you think about Armlet, HSSLNG?
Yeah. First off, I don't think it's one of the strongest items at all. It's good on certain heroes, but I mean, other than like Huskar and CK, which heroes are Wraith King maybe, heroes really use this item, benefit from it. I don't know. I just think the design and like concept behind it is maybe not flawed, but just too situational to be considered like an overall good item. The stats are really good, the build-up is great and everything, but I mean, I just don't see play on it, and I don't think it's really good on too many heroes.
I would actually consider it getting on a lot of heroes because like it's a high risk, high reward item. Like, let's say, okay, it's not gonna benefit on intelligence as much because you don't have the HP region of a strength and whatsoever, but in a team fight, this item can make you stay alive in situations you wouldn't stay alive.
Yeah.
So that's my biggest, like, what I like about the item. Like, I can survive situations where I'm not supposed to survive, and that way I can turn a team fight for my team. For like, how much is it? 2.6k gold or something like that.
By 3k.
Yeah, it's I have gotten it on here's like Ancient Apparition AA. When I played it mid a lot, I get the armlet on him because he lacked the survivability, and if you're good with armlet, you can just toggle that shit in team fights or in a 1 versus 1 scenario. It kinda sounds stupid, but I guess I'm just a big fan of armlet and kinda biased because of it.
It's so weird. Armlet's one of those items. I find that like there's a cult behind Armlet. Whenever I meet somebody that says they like Armlet, they never just like Armlet. They love the fuck out of it. They
It's
only
amazing.
ever love it, or they just kind of feel like it's meh. It's never any in between. It is a great item, I think. And I think if you are a strength hero and you want to right click, I'm not saying that every strength hero should get this item. I'm just saying if you want to right click heroes and your strength, this gives you the most DPS of any other item, I think. I'm pretty sure. Somebody did the math on that one time. Like, the amount of attack speed, the amount of plus strength when you use the active, the amount of plus damage, like, there's no better item to get. And, like, when I fuck around and I go right-click Earth Spirit, I get this item usually first or second, like, right next to Drum. Although, I don't know, with the new patch, maybe Echo Saber or some weird thing. I don't know. But this item does give a lot of damage to strength heroes. And if you're a strength core, yeah, like, this item's good.
So let's move on to the next item. Blade Mail. This is an amazing item. I actually think I had a friend of mine, Dancing Dragon, who talked to me and made me understand how actually broken the first text here is on Axe. Now when it returns the damage before the damage is negated. So if you have Blade Mail on Axe and you Berserker Call and you get 50 armor from Berserker Call, they're gonna take the damage before it's reduced. It's just insane. Like,
Yeah.
it's so crazy, and that it's returned in the type it's actually in the type that you are taking the damage as. It's also a pretty strong buff in the late game, where Blade Mail usually fall off because of magic immunity. Do you guys think this is a crazy axe buff, or do you see any other hero that benefits more from this?
It's important to keep in mind, the second aspect of that kind of does nerf it. It used to just return it in pure damage always.
No,
but
it
the
was
first-
magical return.
You're wrong.
No, yeah, I'm almost 100. I'm gonna Google
No,
that shit.
it returned in pure, but it was
It
blocked
was
by
reduced
magic
by
immunity.
Yeah, it was blacked by magic community.
Let's
So-
see here. Was I wrong?
Yeah.
Okay, I was
Yeah.
wrong then.
What used to happen was it reduced the damage and then sent it back as pure, but if the target was magic immune, then it didn't send it back at all.
Okay. So Dota 2
this,
logic, yeah, okay.
yeah. So it's hard to say like whether or not that aspect was. I think that aspect is to nerf it to keep it not super broken. Because if it didn't reduce the damage and just sent it all back as pure and ignored magic immunity, you'd get this item on every hero no matter what. This makes it so that there's some counterplay. But yeah, like Axe has a lot of implications with this item, especially now. But even beforehand, he used to get it. What I like about it is that it doesn't make you feel bad when you get the item, because before it's like you get the item and you're trying to tank up and you're trying to not die in team fights, but you just wouldn't the item active wouldn't hurt people as much as you wanted, because they'd be building glass cannon, you'd be building tank, and then they'd hit you, and then you would help them reduce the damage before you sent it back. Now they're on their own, dude. Like you can go tank all you want. You're not helping them. They got either they build tank while they're dealing damage, or they're getting hit with everything that they deal towards you, with or without a BKB. And I really like that. And I think this is a buff to a lot of heroes that not a whole lot of people are thinking about. I'm talking like those initiators, like Earth Spirit, like not just Earth Spirit though, like other heroes. Seriously, any hero that wants to get in the middle of things and expects to take a lot of like frontal damage in return while they're trying to get their thing going. I just use Earth Spirit because like you get in there, you magnetize, and you want to stay in range and stuff like that. You turn this thing on, and people are not touching you. And if they touch you, they're feeling it, unless they have a bunch of armor and they're hitting you with right clicks. But like even if they have a BKB and they're zapping you with Zeus spells, like it still goes. No, wait, it doesn't go through because BKB, he's doing magic to you. So yeah, unless it's a BKB Zeus is gonna feel the damage, and Zeus never gets BKB. So like. It's great. I do like this buff. I think it might be too strong though, but it's great nonetheless.
What's your comment, Hazeling, on Blade Mail?
I think it's just most significant that you can't block it with a BKB anymore, so it actually provides some sort of defensive measure as a position 3 to 5 when you face like a PA that just BKBs and just slashes through your Blade Mail. I think the problem with the old Blade Mail was actually making use of it. It would essentially just be like an item that forced the other cores to proc their BKBs, and then that's the use of it, and that's sort of weird for an item with an active. It's just it didn't really do what it was supposed to.
Yeah, and I was pretty hyped over this patch. I was like, when I read the strength buff and everything, and I started to understand, like, oh, Life Stealer safe lane is gonna be so strong now. But then I saw this item, and it fucking counters that hero so much as with the spell immunity thing. So that made me kind of sad, but I think it was needed, the spell immunity. So I agree with you there. Did you have anything more to say about Blade Mail, Hazeling?
Nope.
Okay, let's move on to Bloodstone. You get more charges now because you're bad and don't know how to get them. I would say that Storm has gotten a lot of small buffs, like not the hero in general, just the items and the stats and whatever that he uses are pretty strong now. I've seen some Storms in pubs, and every time they are pretty good, but in my opinion it's still not he's not good at all. Okay, he's good in some scenarios if you can secure him early stage farm and whatsoever, but I still think Storm has a lot of problems. Would you agree that this Bloodstone, or would you disagree with me and think that Bloodstone is 12 charges now is gonna make him pickable, or what do you guys think?
I don't think it matters at all.
Okay.
I think this buff is like it's not what Bloodstone needed. It's irrelevant, I think.
Yeah. I've heard a lot of people. I have heard a lot of people share that sentiment, and I see where they're coming from. What I don't like is that people like forgot about Leshrac and that he existed. This like Leshrac was always good, man. Like skip Lightning, just go Edict and Ground Shock or whatever, the freaking Split Earth. And this buff helps it so much. Like people are trying to theoretically, like everybody read this and they thought Storm is still bad, and then they scroll down and they see Aghanim's Scepter change on Storm and they're like, Storm is still bad. Like don't just assume this Storm gets Bloodstone. Like so many other heroes get Bloodstone, and I think we need to consider those heroes. And like personally, I do think this buff it isn't probably what Bloodstone needed. I would have liked to see some reversion back to 6.84. I'm not saying make it crazy again or anything like, EXP on death or something. But like, make the charges a little bit more valuable as opposed to making it like you got 12 now, so don't lose any of them. But I do think that this helps a lot for like Leshrac gets this and he's like Mr. Manhattan again or something like that. Just go like nuclear bomb, freaking you're blowing towers up. You don't give a care in the world because you got no cares for mana. Just don't ever die. And the new blade mail really helps him too to get in the thick of things and not care about BKBs. This is a nice change, but just don't think about Storm Spirit when you see this change because this isn't enough for Storm.
Banner region was just never really the problem when you bought this item anyway, because you'd usually get it first or second, and once you get that, that's so much mana for any hero. Like you, with a Bloodstone, regardless of 8 or 12 charges, you would never go on Leshrac. So that's why I don't think this matters at all.
But
if anything,
you
it's
both
relevant
shared
to
something.
The respawn timer.
You both shared something really interesting. You both said that this was not the buff the Bloodstone needed. So what buff do Bloodstone need to be good again? Like what to not make it as retarded as what was in 6.84, but what does it need?
I think maybe lose less charges. I think like if you buy a Bloodstone and you die right after you bought it, it's like somewhat feels like the whole Bloodstone was just negated and it was just not a worth purchase. It's such a snowball dependent item, like
Yeah.
and whenever you die you just feel super bad and and feels like it's not worth it.
I agree with him completely.
Less I think less what is it called? Less punishment when you die and maybe less relevance to the charges overall, like lose less charges but have the charges do less too. I think that would help this item out somewhat.
Yeah.
I think like the idea of having this item on supports is like what maybe Ice Frog is trying to get at. Like a Fed support could just get this and heal his team with it if he's getting low or some shit like that, but that's not gonna work. Like I don't like that idea at all. It's still gonna be cores getting this, and it's still gonna be cores using the pocket deny just to not give their kill spree over to the enemy carrier or whoever's killing him. Like that's what ever since he put in the pocket deny, that's what I thought he was trying to do is like make it so that like some people can get it just to heal their team or some shit like that. I do want to say like. I mean every little bit does help, and this helps. And I mean like what Hastling just said, like it is true. Like especially if you skip lightning, you're not gonna have to worry too much about mana. But I mean, if you leave, it lets you leave your ulti on for that much longer. It lets you spam Split Earth in your W that much longer. Like not just on Leshrac, but just this does technically help. There's no downside to this. Is this the buff that Storm needed to get into viability? Probably not, but consider the other heroes that Bloodstone buy or that Bloodstone users get is all I'm asking, and see as to whether or not those heroes were ever really bad last patch, or if they were just kind of overshadowed by some other heroes. And if they were, then ask yourself, does this change help them enough to become super great? And see how the meta works out, and I guess just move from there. But yeah, I see where he's getting at. And I probably agree mostly. Like this definitely wasn't the change that it needed to become viable.
Yeah. Okay. I think we have to speed it up a bit because we have been here a while and we need to talk a bit. We can talk about the more important items like Butterfly. It's a 10-second cooldown, whatever. Crimson Guard. No one buys that shit. Desolator. It's the Blightstone. The Fusional Blade is kind of cool, like that it reduces the burn on mana, on illusion, or the mana burn from your illusions attacks. It's a kind of Naga Siren nerf. I would only see it Naga Siren and PL. Do you guys think about something else that loses from this, or whatever?
They barely nerf, and I think if you're hitting it with your main hero, then you're more than making up for the nerf. So I think overall this item got buffed, but nerfed in the purge thing. Like the purge and the main melee / range hero change was the big thing. I think, the illusion things seems so small.
Yeah, but how I say
Maybe
to I think it's really bad for Naga Siren because you never hit someone with your real hero, real Naga Siren. Like you only hit them with illusions.
I only ever see Naga Sirens go the Radiance Octarine build. I never see him get Diffusal anymore.
Oh yeah.
Like, Diffusal seems like a 6.79 item on Naga back when she was like way different and crazy. Like she had 12 extra base damage, for instance, back in those days.
Or the
I
old
don't
days
know.
where she had a crit. Oh, I miss those
Yeah,
days.
those are even older days. Yeah. I don't know. Like I don't even see Naga anymore to begin with. But if I do, she's not going defusal. So
Mm.
I think this if it five mana burn per illusion is significant on like PL. But that's like it. I think mostly they buffed this as like more and more. I'm getting to the point where I'm just gonna buy this on Brood to purge off dusts, and it does help. 15 extra mana on your main hero. Like if you don't benefit from illusions, that's you can still consider this item. I think. Like I was thinking Clinks too, like how he even used to get this item against like Omnis and stuff, or some situations. The purge cooldown thing does hurt a lot, I think, because you can't just spam it out against an Omni Knight to get rid of all that crap. Makes the item much more unforgiving. But 2 seconds from what it used to be back in the old days, like 2 patches ago, before they buffed this item crazy, I think it was like a 7 second cooldown. This is still better than that. So I don't know, interesting changes. Not a buff or a nerf in any strong way. I think slight nerf here, slight buff there. I don't know.
What do you think, Hazeling, about diffusal blade changes?
Yeah, again, I don't think it's relevant by too much anyway.
Okay.
It's sort of like Bloodstone. Like the heroes that bought Diffusal are still gonna buy it, and no new heroes are gonna buy it because of this change. So it's irrelevant in that regard.
Okay.
Doesn't change the meta at all.
So let's move over to an item Wired was kind of hyped about, the new Sangeyasha. Dragonlance is now a different type of item build, or you build it up differently. Instead of the useless quarterstaff, you now get 2 Band of Elven skin. This is a nerf to Enchantress, who is the most common one to get this item, but you see this to have a different kind of use now, don't you?
I would even call it a buff to her. Fuck it. Like it gives her 5 extra attack speed and 2 extra armor. This is crazy. This needs to get nerfed like as soon as possible. Seriously, I'm not even joking. This is absurd, dude. Like they, I don't know. I like the more and more that I wrap my mind around this, I will get this on any hero that right clicks probably ever. The stats are too like they're stupid. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a lot of stats, for
It's-
sure.
Yeah, insane stats. This is the old drum.
What do you think about the item? Do you agree with Wired, Hazeling?
Hmm.
Like look at the
Think
math. You know.
Yeah, it's about the same though. I feel. Not sure.
You think it'll get used more though, don't you think? Like there's like you know how it used to be just kind of like only very very specific heroes would get it. Like there's no doubt this item gets used more, right?
I have doubt about whether or not it will be used more. I think still it's important to utilize the range, and I still think a lot of heroes won't use the range for 1900 gold. You rather want to build up towards something else.
Like what? Like a Sanchinasha? Because I would get this over Sanchinasha.
I mean, it depends a lot on the hero. Like, I don't think Clinks want to get this. I think you rather want to get Diffusal 10 out of 10, or like a Desolator, anything more damage. But yeah. I'm not sure. I don't think
The,
this.
the
these
problem
stat
I
changes
have
too
with
much.
this item is like, yeah, I get it, it's super good stats, but it doesn't give the movement speed as Sangeyasha does, but you basically...
half the cost.
Yeah,
I would just
it's half
buy a
the
Yasha.
cost.
If
Yeah.
I want the move speed, I'll buy a Yasha on top
Yeah.
of it. It'll be literally less expensive than a Sanchinasha.
Yeah, I was gonna go to that also. I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
then again, if I want moment speed, I just get a Windlace, and
Yeah.
I don't even have to get the Yasha. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Like just wait until
think
this
it's
item gets nerfed and then we'll all see. I don't know.
yeah, maybe it will get nerfed. I can say it's one of the most cost efficient items in the game and can be abused because of that. But I want to see it more played before I share too much about it. I'm pretty scared to say it's good or bad.
That's fair.
It could be either one. So drums got a decreased recipe cost and now need Windlace. Windlace instead of Sage Mask on Yules. Flying Courier 50 gold less. Game of True Sight 900 instead of 1100. A big nerf to Balanar or Night Stalker, I would say. No one else really. Like I also see this as a Balanar nerf. Ghost Scepter, cooldown 5 seconds. Glimmer is 90 now. What the fuck? I don't agree with that. Do you guys think Glimmer needed a buff? Like,
I thought you usually ran because of Glimmer on
Yeah.
most supports, so I thought this was well
I agree.
placed.
I like this.
But that was something that you had to like. Glimmer is
Work
such a
around.
crazy item. Like you cannot.
Uh,
It's got nerfed a lot though.
Yeah, I
like
don't
to see
think
this
it's
change.
that good anymore,
I
and
think
especially
it
not
is.
if it makes you all too quick.
That you even can
I-
disassemble it is also crazy because then you can shadow amulet yourself and then you assemble the item again and you have like a double
gosh.
item
Damn.
value. Like I think
You're
this
so
item
crazy, Dance. You know that you are insane, dude.
yeah, but
All these like
Seems
new
good.
meta things.
but
Yeah.
that's just like imagine you know the enemy team is gonna push T2. Then you disassemble your glimmer cape and you just use it and you stand in the middle like where they will push and then you have a glimmer cape later on and you echo slam them and like surprise and they have a glimmer also. It's so much value in one item.
You're crazy.
Yeah, I know.
Make that work. Make that work, and then I'll believe you. I
Oh,
don't know,
okay.
though. I want to I want to say that this wasn't needed because like I do remember when this first got released in 6.84 and it was the most overpowered thing since fucking I don't know Invoker 6.86 even though that wasn't out yet. But like this was a crazy item, but it got nerfed heavily, and I like to see Ice Frog going back and saying, you know, maybe I over nerfed this a little bit too much. 90 mana seems fair. I'll say 90 mana seems really fair for the active. I like this change.
Yeah, it's not the biggest of worlds. It's 20 mana, so like
Yeah.
it's just me that I'm scared. I don't want this to become the Tinker Glimmer Cape thing again.
Yeah.
Okay, Guardian Greaves 50 more gold. Heart of Terras got buffed, I would say, because you get more health now. It's
50
pretty
more.
cool and more regen actually. So it's a heart buff. That's pretty cool. Heavens 1 second longer on ranged. Pretty cool. And one of my items who used to be one of my favorite items, Hood of Defiance, got a buff, I would say, because you don't have to
definitely.
get the Ring of Regen anymore, and the cost is like 1,750 now, and you have an active on that item. I think Hood is way too good to not get on heroes like Centaur now. Like this item is so good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have something to share about Hood?
Yeah. It's like it's becoming too good of an item to just glance by saying, "Oh, I can't get that item," because it used to be like too awkward to get. I think unlike Mech, which gave you a bunch of stats and some armor, it just gave you some small stats, not just Hood but Pipe too. Small stats and just a bunch of health regen. They're taking it away from that. They're moving like away from that sort of mindset of just like I know what counters magic damage, spell resistance, and HP regen. Like Ice Frog's moving away from that mindset and saying, okay, people want Hood and Pipe for its active. I need to make the active more accessible. And so let's put the active on one hero on Hood, and then let's remove the cost of it by 350, taking away some of the active, or taking away some of the passive stats, which are kind of overdone anyways, and just make them an item more accessible to heroes at an earlier stage. I really like this change. I want to see Pipe be like really good again, but yeah.
Do you have anything
like
to
this
share,
change.
Hazling?
Pipe's easier to get now, so
Yeah.
that's it, I think.
Okay, let's move on then. Lincoln Sphere, 325 less recipe cost. Lotus Orb buff, I would say. It's obviously a buff. And then an item I fucking hate, and I don't know why it's in the game because it's such a stupid item. Mask of Madness. It got a buff. It's 5%. It's not the biggest of worlds, but can we just not touch this item? I never want to see it in a competitive match again. It's stupid. It's too riskful, and I remember like back in Dota 1 you got this item on any hero because it was like 17% increased damage taken, and that was like nothing for the benefits you got from it. Like stupid item. What do you guys think of Mask of Madness?
Too small of a change to matter.
Yeah, that's a good point, but like what do you think about it as a item as a whole, like the item Mask of Madness? Like
Nobody will get it this patch, I don't think.
you really don't think so?
Yeah.
Yeah, me neither.
How
Okay.
about you send me you're 6K, right? You send me the replay when some 6K player buys this item, and we'll talk about that because I'm actually really
I mean,
curious.
you play it, you buy it a lot on Medusa.
Yeah, if you get Rapier, I guess you get it then.
Even before that.
I've seen some Slark players get it, but they usually die like because they're stupid and don't abuse it when they're in Shadow Dance and whatever. But I just think this item, like, I hate it when I play as support and have this on my carry. I hate to face a hero that has a Mask of Madness. I dislike the item so much. It's madness.
That's clever.
So let's move on to the medallion, just the Blightstone. Observers. This is a huge Ricky nerf. Ricky nerf. Because before, okay, what they changed is that you get 25 experience from wards instead of 100. So what you can't do anymore is you can't get insta level 2 as Ricky. Because usually what you do is you buy 2 sentries in the start and then you follow the enemy support. And you let your safe lane tell you where the other ward is, and then you deward those 2 wards and you have instantly level 2. But you can't do this anymore, and that's so annoying. That's the only thing I would say where it matters. It doesn't really matter more than that.
It sucks, but only you would say that it's a huge Ricky nerf.
It's a huge Ricky nerf.
In all of my games last patch, I actually only had one time where I actually killed both the wards as the 4 position support. Maybe that makes me bad, but like I usually started sentries, and I could only ever find both wards usually like, you know, once or twice in a blue moon. I could usually find the offlaner's ward, but it was always hard to get that rune ward because they'd always place it in, like, there's so many different spots where you could place it, and you know,
that's
good
why
or
you
bad.
follow them. That's it. As a Ricky, you can follow them like sneak.
You're right. You are right, yeah. And I wouldn't be surprised if you're the kind of person to TP into a tier 1 tower just to make sure you get on them as quick as possible.
Hey man, TP costs 50 gold now.
Yeah, you're right. And you're getting 75 less gold from this ward snipes, but you are right. Yeah, I don't like to see this change myself. I know that sounds kind of weird, but like, because it seems so small, but come on, like, I want to feel rewarded when I counter ward them. I want to get that big old 100 EXP fucking hitting level 2 off of killing a yellow plant. Like, fuck creeps, you know, give me those yellow plants, let me get that, farm that EXP. I'm not even joking. I like the reward mechanism. You get 50 more gold, and technically speaking, it could be said that counter warding now pays for itself in some ways. If you plop a sentry down, you counter their ward, you deny that vision, and you get 100 gold back. Like, you buy sentries in packs of 2, and so it's 200 gold. You kill 1 ward with 1 sentry, that's 100 gold for 100 gold, kinda. You know, it pays for itself, and then the denial of vision is insane. But I don't know, like, I don't like to see the XP nerf, but it's probably not that big of a deal, except for in the super early game, so I shouldn't hark on it too much.
So, Hazeling, as the strong support player you are, I think you have a lot of knowledge to share about the Observer ward, right? What do you think? Does this matter a lot?
Doesn't matter a lot. I think the gold is more significant than the XP though in the early levels.
Really?
Getting gold from wards rather than XP is.
You think gold is better than experience?
Yeah.
On supports.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. How come?
That's interesting.
Because you like you can easily gain like the crucial levels you need by leeching a couple of creeps off either the lane or pulling. I think the gold is the problem. This awards you faster boots. Like if you deward at level 1, you're gonna be so much closer to like the first couple of items you want, like magic wand or war wards or boots. I like this change.
Yeah, in a economical standpoint, I can actually agree with that. Like if you're playing like that position 5 or some shit, you're gonna be 100% certain that you can get flying. Like you're gonna get flying at 3 minutes, no matter what now. If you get 1 observer down or whatever, if you get the offlaner's ward or whatsoever. So yeah, actually when you share that, I can actually agree, but only from that standpoint, like when a position 5 or something.
Also overall, I think it's important to, like for me anyway, in Dota, I think gold is much more significant than XP is by a very large margin. Like even when you watch competitive gaming or any gaming for that matter, it's usually the team with the highest net worth that's in the lead, and not with the most XP overall.
I think that's really depends on what lineup you have. Like
yeah, that's true, but then generally speaking,
okay, that's an interesting standpoint. So you're more of the like what the fuck is Donald Duck's uncle called, the rich one? You're basically more like him.
Scrooge?
And what?
Is that not Scrooge McDuck?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, you're more
Us
like
Scandinavians.
well, here in Sweden we call him Joachim, but yeah.
Joakim?
Yeah, it's called Joakim Van Anke, but you're basically
yeah.
more like him then. And we're more like we want the knowledge. We want to get further in our experience in life. The other things, the restock thing, and I guess this is just to balance the less duration whatsoever, right? It's nothing else than that. I'm bad with math, so I guess you guys. I want you guys to help me out here.
Yeah. It adds up.
Okay, cool. Thanks. So let's move on to Octarine Shitcore. No longer provides HP regen, 50% less mana regen. This was fucking needed because the cooldown reduction, this is the only item in the game that provides you with cooldown reduction. It cannot give other stats. It cannot give good stats and cooldown reduction. I mean, it was stupid. I think now it's a balanced item and it's not bad. It's just a decent item, I would say. It's like any other item. What do you guys think about this? Do you feel like it's bad or still good, or what do you think?
Well, when I like to get it, it was usually on a hero that kind of benefited, a pretty good deal from both those stats. I never really minded like getting the sustain. I never really mind getting the mana regen, and they hurt. I mean, I guess that could be said about a lot of things. You never really mind any free stat or whatever, but I don't know. It is kind of a bummer to see this nerf for some heroes that I have in mind, but this will make it so that like those cancer heroes that just seem to get Octarine Core and they turn it into like Octa Meme Core. Like, I remember Alchemist, 6.85.
Yeah.
I don't need to remind you guys. Like, he'd get Octarine Core, he'd get Mant, he'd get Radiance, and he'd just like never run out of mana, never run out of health, always being in your lanes, pushing your shit in, just constantly, kind of like last patch's Nature's Prophet. Like, it was annoying. And this definitely hurts the sustain of heroes like that. Now they're going to have to bots back to base if they want to keep doing that shit every once in a while, I think, if they just have Octarine for sustain. But I'm not entirely sure. Alchemist is pretty self-sustaining in general with his ulti's passive, with his ulti's active passive. So I don't know. It probably won't affect him too much, but some heroes will feel this pain. I agree, and this does hurt those heroes.
Anything to share, Haisling, on Octarine Shitcore?
Overall, I just don't understand when they remove like build-up item stats from the final product. I just think that's a weird concept to buy an item and then you lose something but gain something else. Also, I'm not sure how this changes the item overall. Like, I'm not sure what this change is about at all. Actually, I'm not sure what to feel.
I would say it just changed some survivability that it provided. Obviously, with the HP regen completely gone now. That's why I didn't say it's bad. It's like a still decent item. Like, you can still get it and feel good about yourself.
Yeah, nothing else.
Yeah. So let's move on then. Perseverance, 1 increased HP regen, and then the team pipe is a thing now. I think this is how it works, right? You can get 5 pipes of insight, and they will all stack.
Yeah, that's how I understood it too.
Yeah.
So actually, how I understand this, I don't think it actually does. I think what it does is, see, stack limit duration. What I thought this does is just simply refreshes pipe. But am I misunderstanding it? Do you think, or
maybe that could be so. I don't like. I that's why I asked it as a question, because I don't really understand it either. Like, I hope that is like you can have 5 pipes on you at like when you go uphill and you can take no medical damage.
Yeah.
But maybe it's more balanced in a way, like where it refreshes the thing.
I don't think you'll see this too much though, unless it's against a crazy composition. But
Yeah, I
sadly
agree.
enough.
You'll probably never see more than 2 pipes if it is the case that they stack.
Yeah, it would be cool though. Point booster, change the stats. Not that really meh. It's just some stats, mimics things. Refresher, no one bought that for the HP regen. Aquila and Basilius 1 less armor. It just buffs the raindrop thingy more for me. It got 1 more damage though. It's like, it's okay, I guess. HP Ring of Health, 1 more regen. Ring of Regen 325. Yeah, I'm talking really quick here because the video is kind of long, so I have to like do.
Yeah, sure. This is minor changes though. Most of it is
Yeah.
not relevant anyway.
Who used the True Strike at Road of Athos? I don't think anyone got
When I
that.
read this change, I had to look up the old Rod of Aces because it was something they added in 685,
Yeah.
and even though I played a lot with it on OD, I never realized that this was on it. So this didn't matter to me at all.
Yeah, I was like, who? Like, why? Okay,
Yeah.
Mame got
I'm glad they-
buffed on both Sange and Sangiasha. Shadamlet 100 less gold cost, and then a cool buff to Slark, as we talked earlier in the podcast. With a change to Silver Edge, where you get an ultimate orb now instead of a Shadow Blade. No, instead of a Sange in the build up or whatever. So it provides 15 to all stats now instead of 32 damage, but still gives the same. No, wait, how is this? The strength is gone. Jesus, I'm a retard. You basically get more stats with this item now, and it costs less. This
Yeah,
is
you
a
said-
huge buff.
I want to be clear here. You said the strength is gone. The strength is not gone. It gives
Yep.
one less strength.
Yes.
So, yeah, just so we understand each other, it's way cheaper. It now gives Ant to offset its mana cost. It gives, like, virtually the same amount of damage all across the board. This item got insanely buffed, and anybody who built it will see, like, visible effects of this item's buff. I don't like this buff. Just, like,
You
I like...
scared?
Yeah, I'm scared. That's what it is. I guess I'm scared. I need to go to church because I'm so scared.
Yeah, I'm scared. I'm pretty scared about the
Yeah.
items that this is built up. Is like it's screaming Slark all over it. Like this is such a good Slark item.
Yeah. For the record, just so we're clear, I absolutely hate Slark as a hero. Like, I hate playing against that little fuck. He always runs away. It's so annoying to play against him. And so that's why I am scared of this, is just because of him. If it wasn't for him, I probably wouldn't be as scared of this change as I currently am. So.
And you're
I
an
should
Earth
be-
Spirit player, and he can remove your ultimate with one
Yeah.
click. I
Yeah,
hate that shit.
Yeah, I hate that shit so much. That's actually the reason. So, yeah. So, like, I am very much afraid of Slark with this item. But, you know, I build it on Doom sometimes. So, like, as a nice axe substitute. So, I can't deny that this item fills a lot of gaps that it used to not do at all. Like, I don't think I need to get a drum anymore on Doom if I get this item. It still might be nice, but like you know, you don't need the mana anymore off the drum if you're gonna get 15 mana or 15 imp from this maybe. So I don't know. Have to see the implications of it, but I do like this change. I'm just scared. That's really all it is.
What's
I
your
need to go to
comment
church.
around it, Hazeling?
It's probably just more diverse now. Not diverse, but more not as narrowed into a few heroes. I think all stats is just generally better than attack speed. That's it. And maybe they want to have you utilize the proc of Silver Edge 2 more. Not sure. I don't think it matters too much. I think when you want to upgrade the Silver Edge, it's not going to be because of the additional stats, but because of the mute break thing it provides.
Yep. So let's move on to the smoke. The smoke replenish 1 minute quicker now, and no longer share that stupid attached hero cooldown. It's just a bit annoying. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Soul booster do not give HP regen anymore, and 50 less. No, sorry, doesn't. Yeah, I said that right. No longer provides HP regen. Yeah, and 50 less mana regen. Talisman of Evasion 100 less gold cost. Town Portal Scroll is gonna be free for only in 2 patches. Vanguard is 2 more HP regen. Veil of Discord is built up in a different way now. I talked about this with my really good friend Topson. He's a really strong mid player. It's like around 7k now. He said that this was a buff to Puck, but a nerf to everyone else. Do you guys agree? Like, the stats is obviously less, but do you agree with that, or what do you think? Was this needed to Veil? Like, what do you think about the item, basically?
I'm trying to see how this is a buff to Puck. Because he can build now 2 null talismans or something.
Yeah, I guess it was like when I wanted him to explain, he was like, you usually buy 2 null talismans anyway on the hero, and you don't want to get like the Robe of Magi, because you don't want to build your power treads or like some big items like that. You want to have brown boots, veil, blink dagger basically on that hero. You don't want the power treads or like you did 450 or whatever. It basically reduces the cost for puck by 450 or something like that, was how he explained it, because you don't want to get the Robe of Magi, but you always want the double null talisman. He's not that good at explaining, and so I'm not either, so I guess that made some sense, at least for someone.
I think you only get double null when you play against Arteezy.
What? Is that some meme?
Oh, that's a meme. Okay.
I did not understand.
Dang.
Oh, I'm not good with.
I don't think it buffs puck too much. I mean, I think the double null is more of a personal preference more than anything. Like, I rarely see people buy double Wraith, Bracer, or null, unless you're like Dro and get 2 Wraith bands, plus, minus.
Yeah.
It makes the build up easier for certain heroes, sure, but I thought the item was already strong. And I don't think it matters too much, honestly.
A huge nerf to the item though is like that some people might miss, is that it's now like this spellable, which means that if you're PL, the enemy team can't no longer see who's the real PL after you use the double ganger, or is it called double ganger, or what is it called? The one where it disappears.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So before you could see who's the real PL because he would be all purple and shit, but that is now dispellable. That's a pretty significant. That's a hard word to say. But yeah.
That's the bigger part of the item that I think got nerfed, by the way, was the, like, 6 int is significant, but, like, since it's dispellable now, like, that hurts a lot, I think, more so than 6 int.
Totally. And now to the biggest change in the entire patch. Vladimir's offering has 1 less armor. Basically unplayable item. I cannot see this perishable on any hero. Never buy Vladimir, not even on Lycan. Not even on the mute team chat. Mute all chat, was it right? That Lycan guide you did? I thought that was hilarious.
So yeah, on 2 notes on that. First and foremost, I will say that this does actually hurt the item pretty significantly, because it used to be a death bowling item and it is becoming worse of a death bowling item. It is only 1 armor though, so you know, whatever, but like, you know 1 armor is 1 armor. I will say, Lycan builds changing in general. I don't actually think you want to go Vlads anymore. Kind of like Ursa. Lycan's kind of like the old Ursa. Like, the old Ursa started to not get Vlads anymore, and now he's going like Mask of Madness. Lycan doesn't actually really need Vlads to get Roche or anything like that. Doesn't really help him in any way other than like the mana kind of and shit like that. Get a Helm and get like even a melee creep, and you have more DPS than Vlads gives your entire team. Get a Helm. Not if you know, and that's just a melee creep. Get a Helm with a wolf. I know it sounds weird, but you got the wolf pack going now, you know. It's way better than Vlad's. It's 30% damage order, or is way better. It's double what Vlad's gave. You know, it's got its own quick strike and whatever. It's got its own damage. Vlad's isn't a unit, so it doesn't have its own damage. It benefits from your aura. I think Lycan, you know, small changes like these to Vlad's are making me think maybe Vlad's isn't the buy on Lycan anymore. And I'll have to experiment around with Helm.
I usually get the Purge creep when I get Dominator on Lycan. I think that's more like it's pretty good with.
If you rat.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. If you do the I was gonna say if you do the mute all chat build, it's all about ratting, you know.
Yeah.
Like, or I don't know. Wait. So you don't rat, or you do rat and you get the Purge creep?
I see Lycan more as a team fighter right now, more than the Necro thingy where you split push and stuff. So you get a Purge creep and then you pop ultimate, and that creep is gonna run at like 650 movement speed like a crazy person, and just purge everything around it.
Yeah.
I think that's more useful than 30% increased damage. Maybe I make sound like a real retard, but that's my opinion at least.
You're probably right. I love the Purge creep, by the way. It's just like that's not the mute all chat build, though. You know.
Yeah.
That's not how you mute all chat and rat. But yeah, you're right. If you're trying to team fight, that's probably how you do it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, you know, that's why the build exists, because I was just trying to tell people how to rat. But yeah, I like your build. I like your idea because I love that creep. That creep is sick.
Yeah, it's pretty strong. So this wraps up the podcast. Hazeling, do you have something more you want to share before we end this, or?
Nothing.
Okay, so we will do one more in near future where we go through the heroes. This was a in-depth analysis, I guess is the right word, about the items. I'm sorry if it's too long, but yeah, please share it with your friends, whatever. Please comment what you think made us sound like retards. And thanks for watching.